The March time is 4 p.m. I'd like to call to order the March 17th meeting of the Norwalk Traffic Authority. We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is a roll call. Would somebody please call the roll? Okay, I'll call the roll.
I'll call the roll, but I don't know who's on.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Commissioner Palladino?
Here.
Commissioner Sumter?
Here.
Commissioner Lopez?
Present.
Commissioner Collier Clemens? You're on mute, Commissioner. I know she's here. So
She is.
okay. So the next item is public participation. Is there anybody waiting to address the authority on items that are on the agenda but not looking for approval today?
If anybody would like to speak, can you please raise your hand electronically? No, Mayor, there is not.
Okay, so we will close public participation. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes of the Traffic Authority meeting on 2/24/2025. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Okay, Commissioner Collier Clemens moves approval. Are there any corrections, deletions, or omissions?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none, Mayor.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Under new business, I'll need a motion to move for discussion. Item 5A under new business.
I'll make a motion on new business to approve or to start with item 5A.
Okay, that item is to approve the proposed full closure on Park Street between Lewis Street and East Wall Street for Earth Day Festival on the Norwalk Green. I know Mr. Craighead is the event organizer. I don't know if he's on, but we have done this in the past, and they've had proper coverage. So is there anybody representing that? I know I see we have.
Yes, Mayor Willing, I'm here, if you can hear
Okay.
me.
Mr. Craighead, can you give us a little update?
Sure. Johan, are you on the line as well?
It looks like he is.
Yes.
Okay, Johan, I think you were gonna lead into.
Oh, excellent. Okay, perfect. All right, yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mayor. So I'm Johan Lopez and a member of the organizing committee for the Earth Day Festival. It's my second year, and the proposal before you is to have the complete closure of Park Street between Lewis Street and full closure of Park Street between Lewis Street and East Wall Street. I've been helping Brad, who's also the lead organizer, in satisfying all the requirements for the proposal. So, for instance, I submitted the proposal for the traffic plan proposal, and the actual detour plan to Chief Walsh for his review and input. And so he suggested and recommended that we this year have 3 officers for full coverage to mitigate any traffic incidents. So that's sort of an update. And we have been working with Ben from TMP as well, and been following his guidance and his suggestions in terms of putting together the plan before you. And so now I will turn it over to Brad. Brad, if you want to
Sure.
get into any specifics.
Thank you, Johan. Yes, thank you, everyone. My name is Brad Craighead. I'm representing the Norwalk Green Association, and we are working in partnership with the City of Norwalk on this annual event. It's our 4th event, and thanks to the success that we had last year, I think we're a little bit better organized in anticipation of what we would expect to be something like 1,500 to 2,000 people. The event is planned for Saturday, April 26th, rain or shine, and the official, we're actually calling it a festival as opposed to the Earth Day event. And 11 to 3 is the time when everything begins. Our request is for road closures, as Johan has highlighted. We worked with Transportation Mobility and Parking, and then with Chief Walsh to get his input on the site plan that is in front of you. Relative to years in the past, we're proposing to put in detour signs in 3 locations or 4 locations. One is as you approach the green from East Avenue from the south. The way that the traffic pattern would go normally is north up Park Street. And that is actually, if you look on the plan, there's a little yellow box there with a P there. That is for one of the police officers that's proposed. So 2 hours before the event starts, that would be at 9 o'clock. A police officer would be posted there to close traffic, at least through traffic, going up Park Street. So that's 9 o'clock for an 11 o'clock start. And the idea is that between 9 and 11 o'clock, really we need to receive all of the vendors and exhibitors who will be, parking their vehicles in one of 2 places, either the lot that is behind the First Congregational Church on Lewis Street or in the St. Paul's parking lot on St. Paul's Place. So the second policeman would be located on the corner of St. Paul's Place and East Avenue. So traffic that's coming up East Avenue or traffic that's coming down East Avenue that would otherwise take the turn onto St. Paul's Place would be presented with a police officer and a sign that says something like road closed ahead, at least for local traffic only or exhibitors and vendors. And then the third location is up on the corner of Park Street and North Avenue with some additional road closure signs further up France Street and also additional detour signs on the corner of East Avenue and Route 1 to basically let people know that the area around them is preparing for the Earth Day Festival. So I think what we've put together here is pretty comprehensive. We have the experience of the flow of both pedestrian and vehicular traffic and some of the problems that we've had in the past. Namely people that were trying to go up and down Park Street thinking that they could still navigate through it entirely and finding, whether the road was closed or not, that there's so much activity right around the green, in particular the food trucks on the corner of St. Paul's Place and Park Street, that it just became a traffic jam. So the idea is to stop any traffic from thinking that they can go up and down Park Street and direct them around on Route 1 and East Avenue and East Wall Street. Just as a secondary note, we have a pretty comprehensive parking plan as well, which we will be putting on our website and all the other promotional materials that will highlight well in advance where people can park. And it's been confirmed with TMP that people can park on, and these are event participants, not exhibitors and vendors, but people who are going to come from afar to the festival. They can park where it's not otherwise posted that they can't, on Park Hill Avenue, on Bettswood, on Morgan Avenue, and then on Smith Street. Of course, we're also going to highlight the municipal lot for the city, the Yankee Doodle lot, and then there is some private parking that we hope to get access to that we've used in the past as well, which is at the Human Services Council at 1 Park Street and then the 2 funeral homes, subject to them being able to persuade any potential services to another morning other than Saturday the 26th. We would expect that people could also park in those 3 locations. And that's pretty much it. Are there any questions or comments?
Questions from the authority?
Yes, I do. I have a question. Mr. Craighead, with regards to the closure itself on Park Street, between St. Paul's, going southbound. I understand that it's one lane. Is that correct?
Well, so people who need to get, the reason why we designed it this way is people who need to drop off items, either exhibitors or vendors, really need to temporarily park by the gazebo. So the yellow line represents cones that divide all of Park Street and all of St. Paul's Place. But if you were driving down Park Street, when you get to the First Congregational Church, you have to take a right onto Lewis Street. So there's no reason why people would go down Lewis Street or Park Street unless they live in the area or unless they are exhibitors.
So they'll be able to still come down up to Lewis Street if they live in the area, correct?
Yes, that's
Where
right.
your cursor was just at right now.
Yes.
So that'll be open to local traffic.
Correct. So it's local traffic. That's right. That's a better way of putting it. Local traffic can go the local traffic can access the entire area, whether from the north or from the south, with the exception of the front steps of the First Congregational Church.
Okay, and then one other question pertaining to not residents, but businesses. I know you have, like you mentioned, Human Services Council on the corner. You also have the funeral. I mean, when it comes to that particular activity, what do you suggest there?
Well, so Human Services Council is always closed on Saturdays, and they let the funeral homes use their parking lot whenever they have services. They kind of rotate, and they also allow Mill Hill Historic Park to use their parking lot as well. We will have access to all three of those parking areas, provided that there are no funeral services on that Saturday morning. And I've spoken to John Lesko from Hoyt Cognetta, and I will speak to the owner of Collins to confirm this, but this is something that is a regular course of event with Mill Hill in the way that they basically provide parking for their events. And the only other businesses in the area, I'm just looking along here, it's really the hotel. There aren't any other retail businesses that I think would be.
Also the deli up north, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
the deli on the corner of Park Street and
Right.
Route 1. Yes, full access for that as well.
Okay.
And they've been notified, the deli, and I believe there's a veterinarian place there too? or
There is the
something?
veterinary. No, we've not spoken to them, but I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Craighead, on events like this, what is the procedure for handicap parking?
Good question. That's not something that we've really considered at this stage. I would imagine that the best place for handicap parking would be where the exhibitor drop-off and pickup area is, which I can highlight on a separate map and send to you. That's right in front of the gazebo, which is where the the ADA ramp is to get up onto the stage. And there's also a crosswalk there right on the corner of Lewis and Park. So that would be my suggestion in terms of directing any ADA. And to be fair, we're also working with some of the elder housing not authorities, but some of the other senior living homes. And for example, my mother lives at one, and those buses would stop and park in that area as well.
But for people who are parking
Yeah.
permanently in terms of handicap, do you post any signs or anything like that in a
That's a good
time
idea.
like this?
We could absolutely do that, and that would be the right location, and there is sufficient space there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Just one other comment, and this is a suggestion of Chief Walsh, is that we have one additional police officer for crowd control or police presence, in addition to the three that would be posted in the 3 boxes on the map.
that, I had discussed that with Mr. Lopez earlier in the week, and I think that was dependent on whether there was gonna be liquor served at the event.
So last.
I think this is the purpose of this meeting is strictly for the traffic.
Right. So last year we did have a beer garden. We served beer. I think this is very much of a family event. I was surprised at, you know, it was good because it attracted so many people, but, you know, it was, you know, it enhanced the event, was by no means, you know, a major part. It's not the Oyster Fest, for example. And, I think there was only one vendor that was selling beer.
Now, the vendors, do they have their proper liquor license?
Yes, they're city sanctioned vendors.
Chief, what is the requirement for control of selling beer outside? Because on city property, there's no alcohol consumption. They usually probably should have an area that the consumption of the beer is limited, no?
Yeah, I think last year, they used a private caterer, so they used the state of Connecticut catering liquor license, which was not in need of a temporary liquor license, from my understanding. When this event occurred last year, I was completely unaware that there was liquor there until we found out afterwards. So yeah, they have to comply with the state of Connecticut catering liquor laws.
The last year we had Blind Rhino there, and we were working with Sabrina and her team, and they felt pretty comfortable about it, and it was on the application. But we're happy to support another police officer to make sure that the crowds are under control. And that was all very localized, like in the northwest corner is where all the food trucks are, with a picnic area. But if we want to limit the area where beer can be consumed or limit the hours in which it can be consumed, that's fine with me. I'll take your lead on that.
Yeah, I think the area, Chief, is what I'm most concerned about, rather than being able to walk around with a beer. And sometimes the reason I have the limited area is so somebody can't buy a beer and pass it to somebody who's underage.
Yes, of course. I could discuss that with Mrs. Dixon tomorrow, I should say, in regards to their special event permit.
Okay.
Mr. Craighead, did I understand you to say that you did not know that there was beer going to be sold last year by this vendor?
No, we did. We did.
Okay. And you said it is advertised as a family event, and this is the first year. Last year was the first year that beer was sold.
Yes.
Now, do you anticipate any other vendors that are going to be selling this year at the event, also including beer?
As far as I know, we only have one targeted vendor to sell beer. We're trying to get the right sort of complement of Greek food, Italian food, Mexican food, ice cream, cookies, beer. We're just trying to have a whole range of menu, but it's not a beer garden. It's called a picnic, as Tracy, my wife, has just whispered into my ear. It was a really nice event, I have to say. And that was something that we debated with our steering committee. And I think it was a net contribution that really, you know, it felt like it made sense.
Okay, well, I would suggest that a very concentrated effort be made not to allow it to increase to other vendors. Sometimes when the door is opened, others think that they can walk through it also.
Understood. And I agree.
Thank you.
Any other further questions from the authority?
Yes. As
Okay.
far as your vendors are concerned, are you have a certain number of vendors, or as the closer the event get to, does other vendors come to you? Because I was thinking about, I heard you mention everything except what we would consider soul food. And there's a vendor that I know that used to be Jeff's. And I don't know if you just didn't go over all the vendors, or how do they
Well-
apply or whatever?
I definitely did not go over all the vendors. My wife Tracy's here. She can give you an update. But yes, there's absolutely, we are still looking for the right mix.
Yeah, so Tracy Craighead here speaking. Are working with the city on choosing the vendors. And we currently been using vendors that we've used before who are also around the green, but we've been looking for some new ones because we got the feedback, no pun intended, last year that people would like some, fresh food and maybe Greek food. And I think soul food would be a great option as well. But I need to check in with our other team members to see where they stand on things. But I believe we're maybe looking for one, possibly two more vendors. So I'm happy to look into the soul food one that you're suggesting. Hello? Hello?
Commissioner?
Oh, sorry.
Nate, you're muted. Nate, you're muted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I said Jeff's Cuisine, who just did an event at the Senior Citizen Center, and the food was delicious.
Jeff's Cuisine.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find him.
We'll
Thank you.
look we'll find him and just see where we stand. If we need another one, if we are right on that, we will certainly explore it. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I do, Mayor, just for the record, because I want to just, for the record, I understood that the commissioner is going to follow up or finalize, and I just want some clarification related to that beer garden, or, how and where that will be served and how it will be roped off and so forth. Because I, for the record, if you will, and that was coming from the commissioner.
Yes, sir. I can tell you that after this call, we're going to get together and populate the site plan. And in particular, we've divided the green into the 4 elements where we put different exhibitors and vendors, and with the food trucks around the sides. So we can come back to you and tell you where the picnic area is going to be and where the beer will be sold in the area that we propose that it be limited to or concentrated in.
Yeah, what I can add to this, I know what we've done in the past is we have some picnic tables that are provided and we kind of scatter them around this area we've been calling the picnic grove. And then around Blind Rhino itself, they're serving the beer, and kind of the tables closest to Blind Rhinos tends to be where people will sit. So we'll try and look into what we can do to concentrate it more, as you're suggesting. But I think the reality is it felt like last year there wasn't a ton of beer consumption. I think, who knows, there's no guarantee what it will be like this coming year. I'm sure it's also dictated a bit by the weather, if it's really warm and hot or not. But since, it's late April, that's usually not the case. But I think these are all really valid points that we'll talk to, and we'll see what we can do in terms of kind of making it more concentrated, like you're saying.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, the Liquor Control Commission would require a designated area. So if you have the picnic tables out, and you can put up some sort of barrier like fencing or something, that people, when they purchase a beer, would have to stay in there and drink it. And then, that would be something recommended. Probably the Liquor Control Commission would probably require that.
Okay.
Mr. Craig, I need to ask a question. Do you know who your liquor vendor will be? And is this being arranged by you or economic development?
Economic development. It's Blind Rhinos who will be providing the beer. And to be honest, we've kind of taken their lead on this because they've done so many events already. They kind of handled this part normally. So we will, we'll make sure we talk about it and coordinate it off better.
Okay, thank you. I'll discuss that internally. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else from the authority?
None for me.
Okay.
None for me.
I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have item 5B. Somebody want to move that?
I'll move that forward.
Commissioner Palladino, approve the proposed foreclosure on River Street between Burnell Boulevard and Wall Street for Rockin' River Street Derby Day special event. I know we have Mr. Lawless might be here, but is there somebody from the TMP is going to handle this, or who?
This one's gonna be Mr. Lawless if he's present.
I am present.
All right, go ahead when you're ready.
Good afternoon to everyone. So my name is BJ Lawless. I own Bank House Restaurant, which is located on River Street, and I am the president of the BJ Ryan's Foundation. We are pulling our permits under the foundation, which is a 501c3. We would also be pulling a liquor permit under that as well. Our hope is to, for the second year in a row, block off River Street from Wall Street to Bunnell. We would start around 11 a.m. as we've stated in the permit, ending at 10 p.m. We would be closing off the street. We would be fencing in the middle of the street to provide a secure area for alcohol consumption. There would be a stage located at the end of River Street and Wall Street on the sidewalk. So it would not be blocking the street when we were trying to be done with the event. Greer's Southern Table, which is directly across from Bank House on River Street, will be participating in the event as well. I have met with Mayor Rilling and Chief Walsh. Chief Walsh has given me the okay to have 3 police officers present for that day. I have been working with Laz, the parking authority, who was going to donate again this year their employees to direct people in and out of the parking garage and help people on River Street and Bunnell as well. What else can I answer at this time?
I know you had the event last year and it seemed like everything went well. There's no real problem with closing down Bunnell Boulevard, River Street, as long as you have the proper detour signs.
We are working with DPW as well for the detour signs, the blockades, the barrels, sorry, and in the process of getting that secured.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
I do. How many people normally attend this?
So last year we had about 500 people. That was also the weekend that we had the car fire on 95 and that was shut down. So this year we're hoping to at least have 500, or between 500 and 800 would be the goal. Again, it would be a very weather driven event, unfortunately, but we're not in the position to try to tent or do anything like that. So, sorry, to answer the question, we're hoping between 500 and 800 people would be able to make it.
And how many police officers would be controlling crowd?
Chief Walsh had asked for 3 for us to obtain, and then I believe he was going to add some to that as well.
Okay, so he's well aware of it. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, 3 is sufficient for the extra work purposes, and we always supply other emergency assets to the area due to the fact that it's a public event.
BJ Bullard, for this Rockin' River Street Derby, is the only 2 vendors that are participating are the 2 that you mentioned, yourself and the other vendor?
Mr. Sumner, so for the purpose of distributing alcohol, yes. We are trying to get the other business restaurant people that are in the area involved as food vendors.
Okay. But it's restricted pretty much to the persons. I'm just trying to figure out, how do vendors participate in this event?
So last year, Greer Southern Table and Bank House, we were the only two that provided the alcohol. That was as people that were throwing the event, that was what we felt comfortable with as far as that. The food vendors, we had reached out to people in the Wall Street community, which is what we're really trying to focus on, especially during the redevelopment stage of what's going on down there. Last year, we did not have a great turnout because we were under the gun. A lot of it was very last minute. This year, we have reached out to Barbuscito, Taco Guy, the bakery next to Greer Southern Table, Coles, and Ahi 10 as some of the restaurants that we are hoping will be involved.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Yeah, Mr. Lawless, this is Tony Lopez here. With regard, I have two questions. Regards to the alcoholic beverages, we just had a discussion, pretty lengthy at best, about containment restrictions. So I don't know if you overheard that. Can you speak to that relative to what is being done specifically, the areas, how it will be roped off and so forth, similarly?
Yes, sir. So last year we would be following the same guidelines that we had. So we brought in metal barriers that there was one entrance closer to Brunel Street. We had a security force that was inside and checking. I'm sorry, in the inside where the liquor is, but there are also 4 gentlemen that are checking IDs to enter, and they're making sure no one is exiting with a beverage. So we had a very contained space that was in the street last year. So that worked considerably well. So we were going to follow the exact same format this year.
Thank you for that. And also, you made reference to the approximate number of people of 500 when Commissioner Palladino asked, and you indicated 500. I'm just looking here at the paper. It says 800. I mean, it's not 100 over or 100 less. It's 300 more. I don't know if you could speak to that.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I had said 500 to 800 when I had answered. Our goal is 800. I think realistically we will be between 500 and 800. But the 800, which is what I put on our permit, was on the higher end. I think that's what we would love to be at. I don't know how realistic it is, but I do know that the 500 from last year, there's always room to grow. So I think an honest answer is we'll be between 500 and 800.
This is Commissioner Collier Clemens. Is there a charge for this?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I thought I remembered there was not, but I just want to be sure.
Yes, it is completely open to the public.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or comments or questions?
Will there be any kind of parking that I can't immediately see here for people coming from other parts of town, or?
There will be access to the parking garage that the parking authority will be showing people on Wall Street and on Brunel how to get into. Also for Mechanic Street behind 16 River Street, they will be showing people that way as well.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, if we're ready for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I need approval to move item 5C.
I'll make approval to move item C.
Okay, that's to propose full closure of Arbor Drive, Soundview Avenue, Low Street, and Washington Street at Flax Hill Road, and partial closures of Flax Hill Road between Washington Street and Arbor Drive for the South Norwalk Electric and Water main replacement project. Who's going to speak to this?
Wilbur John from DPW.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. This is Vanessa Valadares, City of Norwalk, Public Works. What we have in front of you is our next project that we are planning to advertise at the end of this month. So as part of our plans, DPW want to do sidewalks on the north part, we are calling north part, phase 2 of Flex Hill, that is between Arbor Road and Washington. And what we're also going to do is that before we pave any roads, we really contact all the utility companies to make sure that they don't have any work that is imminent to happen. In this case, SMU would like to replace their water main because the one that they have on that location is aged, and they want to do it pretty much before or almost at the same time that we're going to propose the paving and doing the sidewalks. Because we really want to get this project completed by the end of this year, we are working with SNU, and we decided to bid this project as one project. So under the city will pay for its part of the project, that is the paving and the sidewalk replacement, and SNU will take care of the water main, but the city will be taking the lead on advertising the project. The reason that we are in front of you today is that in order to be able to do the replace of the water main throughout the extension of Flex Hill, we'll need to keep most of the time alternate lane in some of the sections that the contractor will be working. When we do the sidewalks, it's not necessary to do that because we really work very close to the curb line. There will be very little disruption to the curb, but part of the water main sometimes can get in the middle of the road. And to keep it safe for the contractors and for the passing cars, we'll need to keep this alternate lane. Besides that, if you change to the other drawings, then for me, there are times that when we get to the intersections, because the water main needs to bring up for a connection on the side streets, we may need to come up with some closures that will take very quick. It's no more usually than a couple of days on the closures, and that's when the detour is going to be proposed. So we are planning to advertise this project by the end of the month. I hope to have a contract in by May and breaking ground hopefully June, and you will see this pattern throughout the construction that we're planning to finish by the end of this construction season.
Okay. I assume that the residents are all going to be notified via a letter of some sort?
That's correct, Mayor. Considering that this is a DPW project, what we do is usually a couple of weeks in advance of the work, we notify everyone that are within the limits of the project, and sometimes we extend a little bit on people that will be affected by it. And also we use our social media to send all the notifications out.
Commissioners, any questions?
I don't have any questions, particularly for the project. I just want to say that the sidewalk project has been going very well from what I see in Norwalk. It has improved the walkability of our city, and it's been done with quality work and with few interruptions of traffic that I've seen. And I just wanted to commend you on a great job that you're doing in doing the work for our city.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Simons.
Any further comment or discussion?
I have none.
I have none, Mayor.
I have none.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Now we have item 5D. You to get somebody to move that, please?
I move.
Mayor.
Okay, so that's approve the proposed full closures of Heather Lane and Corey Lane for DPW, Lockwood Lane, and Heather Lane storage storm drain improvement project. Who from the engineering is going to speak to that.
I am Mr. Mayor. This is Daniel Stanton. I'm one of the senior engineers with Public Works. We've been working on this project for some time. We previously came before you in November to implement a one-way traffic routing on this street. Our contractor then requested closures in several areas due to the manhole work and drainage work for the pipe installations that need to occur. So there's several sheets here that indicate those areas where, because of the size of the structure and the width of the road, that it would be safer to close that during the working day and then reopen to one-way traffic at night. So this shows a modification to the work zone where we indicate road closed to through traffic. The neighbors on Heather Lane at this location where this work takes place from approximately number 13 to 17. And then once we move away from there, the road would be able to keep with one-way traffic until the next phase of the project. I know one of the questions that the commissioners ask, when is this likely to take place? They are currently bringing the trunk line over from George. That's going to take at least this week into next week. So this is why it's an approximate start date, but this is the next location because we're very anxious, as are the neighbors, to get the drainage connected and mitigate the potential of flooding this area, because it's only several lengths of pipe and an installation of a single manhole. We're only looking at this work taking 3 days. Again, this would be during normal working hours from 7 to 5. The neighbors have been notified in this area. And then if there's any questions at this spot, I can pause for a second, or I can describe the other 2 locations as well.
Any questions from the authority?
I have none.
I have none, because I know we've kind of gone over this.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the next location, Ben, is, at the end or mid block of Heather Lane, again, by number 27, 29, and 1. There's a structure near the driveway at 27, and then because of utilities and the connection to the next area on the street, it's the pipe is in the middle of the street, which would restrict traffic in those locations. There's existing, concrete curbing, and therefore we can't move traffic by. So we would be proposing a limited closure in that area as they move during the day, and again, reopening at night for that location. This is, again, approximately 3 days, because this is pipe work, and we anticipate them making significant progress on those days to get past that bottleneck area. And then the last location is on Corey Lane. This will take a little bit longer. There's a utility pole, mailboxes, and fencing that again kind of limit that area. And we're going diagonally to connect into Katy Lane for the next portion of the project for the drainage. Again, homes would be able to be accessed up to the point of the closure, and then immediate neighbors, obviously, for all the phases, would be notified about parking and coming and going for that. The driveways are impacted in the sense that we're going to be crossing and longitudinally with the length of the road. And then at night, the last page here shows the previous not detour, but both detour signs for people coming to the neighborhood who may not be aware, and the one-way traffic that would be restored at night and weekends.
Any further discussion from the authority?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, all in favor of item 5D?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Next 2 items are about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next 2 items are about the letter to the traffic authority, the state traffic authority for speed limit changes on in the area of schools. Item 5E, would somebody move that?
I move section 5, item E.
That's for the approval of the OSTA letter for proposed school zone and speed limit changes on Perry Avenue at Silvermine Elementary School. Any discussion on that? Basically, they just have to write a letter from the traffic authority requesting that they change the speed limit to that, what is it, 20 miles an hour?
Yes, that's correct. From 25.
Yes. Any questions or comments on that?
I have none, Mayor.
I have none, Mayor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Next, we have item 5F. Do I have somebody to move that?
I'll move that, Mayor.
Okay.
I move section 5, item F, approve the OSTA letter for proposed school zone speed limit changes on West Rocks Road at All Saints Catholic School, West Rocks Middle School, and Winston Preparatory School.
Any comment or discussion on that? There's a copy of the length of the area.
And this is pretty much along the same lines anyway,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
similarly.
Yes, I can just add a little bit of background for this one, for the West Rocks one. This one will be installed at the same time as our sidewalk project that we have planned for West Rocks, and it's actually for 3 different schools on West Rocks Road. So it's for the All Saints Catholic School, West Rocks Middle School, and then the Winston Prep School.
So, any comment or discussion?
I have none, Mayor.
I have none, Mayor.
I have none.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn.
I'll
I
make
move
the
to
motion.
adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned at 4:47. Now we'll get online for the Police Commission meeting.
Thank you, Bud.